sound? The streets are empty. Wind skims the voids, keeping neighbors apart, as if grazing the hollow of a cut reed or, say, a plundered mailbox. A familiar note is pronounced. It's the one Desolation plays to keep its instrument in tune. It is your 13th birthday, and as with all 12 preceding it, something feels missing from your life. The game presently eluding you is only the latest sleight of hand in the repertoire of an unseen riddler, one to engender a sense not of mirth but of lack. His coarse schemes are those less of a prankster than a common pickpocket. His riddle is absence itself. It is a mystery dispersing altogether like the moon's faint reflection, with even one pebble of inquiry dropped in its black well. It is the most diabolical riddle of all. Absence diminishes little passions and increases great ones, as wind extinguishes candles and fans a fire, says Walt Whitman. Yes, you are certain Walt Whitman said that. 100% positive. You have a feeling it's going to be a long day. Next. John, leave a surprise for the mailman. No! John, see if your father left the mail in the car. The door is locked. And your dad has the car keys. You peer in through the driver's side window. You don't see any mail, but you do see a green package. There's also something underneath it that looks like a slip of paper. Could these items have come in the mail? You don't see anything else that's usually in the mail, like bills and coupons. Maybe your dad forgot to take this stuff inside. John, spy in the kitchen. You try to get a gander through the kitchen window, but you can't see a whole lot. Seems your dad has been doing so much baking the glass is steamed up. Gosh, he's so weird. But you can see what's on the table just beside the window. It looks like some mail is there. Included among it is a red package, some bills, your dad's PDA, and an envelope that appears to be suspiciously labeled with the Spurb logo. Could it be? Unfortunately, the window is locked. Just come in. Just push the door open. It's not that hard. John, go back in the kitchen. You have no other choice. You are going in. Clever disguise. It's time to work your magic. Sound. John, enter. Next. Your dad sees right through your costume. You don't know what you were even thinking with this foolish ruse. You unequip the clever disguise. Your dad wields a dreaded artifact of confection. He stands between you and the mail. There's only one way to settle this. Sound. Strife. Agree or abjure. Is it auto pastry? I think that's a Guardian Ruger Coddle kind. Coddle brand. And he says dismantle? No, I can't read it though. John, retrieve the package and flee to your room. You cannot abscond, but this pesky guardian is blocking your path. You will need to engineer some sort of distraction. And now he brandishes yet another artifact of confection. The man is ruthless. You'd better brace for impact in the most comedically striking fashion possible. John, equip disguise for defense. The beagle Aegis absorbs the brunt of the treat. Looks like Dad will enjoy the prankster's gambit on that exchange, as is usually the case. John, capture log the pie tin. You take the pie tin and unequip the beagle puss. Everything in your skill decks is pushed back and cart. The smoke pellets are ejected from the deck. Yes, this could be just the distraction you were... Next. Nothing happens. What a huge letdown. John, take the cake. When two great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield, says Oscar Wilde. Wise words by a man who likely could resist everything but temptation. The cake forces Colonel Sassacre's text out of your Skillidex. Next. Sassacre, you beautiful bastard. Now's your chance. John, abscond. Now that Dad is busy placating the smoke detector, you can safely sneak away. John, take PDA. You snag your dad's PDA. Maybe later you'll switch the background image to something hilarious as a prank. Besides, it may come in handy later. Your spare capture log card is forced out of the Skillidex and consequently integrated with the deck. You now have 5 cards to work with. John, take package. This red package is addressed to you. John, take envelope. You got the spare beta. John, exit kitchen. John, get cake on couch. You capture log the cake on the couch, expelling the pie tin from the bottom card. John, combine the cakes to make a double-decker cake. You then merge the 2 cakes across all 5 cards. Everything in your Skillidex is smushed between the cakes. Why don't you think these things through first? John, retreat upstairs. You pause at the juncture and head down the hall. You're going to need something to clean up the mess you're about to make by dissecting this cake. To the left is the bathroom. To the right is your dad's room. It is locked and you are forbidden from ever entering. He has secrets. John, go to the bathroom and grab a towel. You enter the bathroom. You can see your backyard from the window. It is the jewel in its crown is a swing set which has provided you with years of joy. There is also a spring-mounted pogo ride which has been responsible for more than one painful injury and has provided you with years of lament. On the sink is your dad's razor. On the rack to the side is a fresh towel. John, remove PDA, envelope, and package from cake. You take the razor and use it to perform surgery on the cake. You take the towel and clean off the extracted goods. John, retrieve your items. The items force the manhandled cake into the toilet. And just like that, your skill dex is full again. Gosh, this thing is annoying. John, go to bedroom. John, admire failure to launch poster. You're not usually into chick flicks, but Matthew McConaughey's cool charisma could salvage any heap of smoldering wreckage. This is your McConaughey wall, a casual shrine to an amazing actor. The film above that one is a lot better, you think. Can you see her? I want you to picture that little girl, chokes up. Now imagine she's white. You got us, Matthew, your smooth talking exposed our latent racism. Dang, you're good. Sound, John, check Pester Chub. Garden, not gymnastic, aka Gigi, who will be green until named, began pestering John at 16:34. Green says, "Hi, happy birthday, John." Heart, "Hello. Okay, I will talk to you later." Happy face. Garden Gnostic ceased pestering John at 16:56. And Red began pestering John at 16:40. Red says, "Hey, Gigi, aka Green, is looking for you. Why are you even so popular all of a sudden? Is today some sort of special occasion or something? Did you do something to curry favor with ladies? Did you break your leg on a puppy or some crap? Dude, what are you doing?" And then Red went idle. John says, "I discovered a comet that is going to destroy the Earth, and it was named after me. Now I am famous, and everyone wants to talk to me a lot." Red says, "No, stop. Just no. Don't talk about your awful, stupid movies or make references to them. Your gross man-bro crush on Matt McConaughey is a unsavory thing to behold." He spelled it wrong, so John corrects him, McConaughey. Red says, "Sounds like a noise a horse would make, i.e. dumb. Equally dumb are all those pictures of that clown that you've got hanging up." John says, "Those are my dad's." And Red says, "I was talking about Nick Cage." John says, "Oh, what? No, man, Cage is sweet. So sweet." And Red says, "Haha, so lame. You didn't even like him ironically or anything. This is like for real, isn't it? You don't even like him. Ha 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 ha." And John says, "I do things ironically sometimes. What about what I sent you for your birthday?" And Red says, "No, those are awesome." John says, "What? They're stupid," which was the joke, the ironic joke. Get it? "Wait, you're actually wearing them, aren't you?" And Red says, "I'm wearing them ironically because they're awesome. The fact that they're ironic makes them awesome, and vice versa. Are you taking notes on how to be cool? Gosh, get a freaking pen." John says, "You do realize they touched Stiller's weird, sort of gaunt face at some point." And Red says, "Ew, yeah. Oh well. Anyway, speaking of which, did you get the mail?" And John says, "Yeah." And Red says, "Did there happen to be a package in there?" And John says, "Yeah, there's a big red one." And Red says, "You should probably open it." And John says, "I would, but it's trapped under the Spurb beta, so I will probably open it after I install the beta." And Red says, "Oh man, the beta came." John says, "Yeah, wanna play it?" And Red says, "Haha, no way." And John says, "Why not?" And Red says, "It sounds hecka boring. Just get Green to play it. She is all about that." And John says, "Where'd she go?" Red says, "Her internet is blinking in and out, so I guess she'll probably be back online soon." The internet is blinking in and out, I guess. Oh, and Jesus in a sidecar. Are you still using the stack modus? Seriously, dude, you need to bone up on your data structure. That crap is just ridiculous. And John says, "Okay, I will." John, open browser and go to mspaintadventures.com, which is this site. You decide to space out on the computer for a while before doing anything important. You open the Typheus web browser and direct it to what is indisputably the most amazing website ever created. Next. The new adventure is okay, but you're not sure if you like it as much as the last one. John, install the Spurb beta. You decide it's time for less meta, more beta. You insert the CD and install the Spurb beta. Next. What the heck is this? Spurb client is running, waiting for server to establish connection. John, bone up on data structures. You go to your closet where you keep a lot of clothes and an array of handy computer programming guides. John, read data structures book. Data structures for buttholes by Buckminster Funny Uncle. I think my rage just crapped its pants, says Funny Uncle. Your ignorance just made me sick a little. Get a clue, you computer illiterate piece of garbage. Free fetch modus in back. You're not sure you really want to dig into this huge tome. It looks really boring and kind of ornery. Maybe you'll just check out that free modus instead. John, get free fetch modus. EFO. You turn to the back inside cover where free fetch modus is included in a plastic sleeve. This one is dictated by the logic of a queue data structure operating in a first in, first out method rather than a first in, last out method of stack. John, apply fetch modus to Skilledex. Items capture logged in your Skilledex are no longer immediately accessible. You can only use the item on the bottom card and must wait for items on the upper cards to be pushed back to it. For instance, the red package is now inaccessible. You can only use the razor at the moment. This modus doesn't strike you as a significant upgrade to your previous one. In fact, it almost seems more inconvenient. You figure you might as well give it a chance, though. John, switch back to stack modus. You suddenly wonder if this is even possible. You don't even remember if you had a physical card for the stack modus. You find all this to be a little abstract and you'd prefer not to think about it too much. John, put down razor. Put it down? You're not quite sure you understand. John, pick up 2 items. You capture log one of the cakes. You finally found a use for all of these loitering pastries. Dead weight. John, get other cake. The second cake causes the razor to launch out of the front of your Skilledex. Oh good gosh, that beautiful face! You wish the razor would have failed to launch. John, get more stuff. You open your magic chest and capture log one of your favorite books of all time, Wise Guy by Mike Caveney. There goes the fresh towel. John, might as well grab those cuffs. You take the trick handcuffs, expelling the PDA like a bullet, which breaks the window. Next. Oh, gosh dang it. John, open up that package. You examine the package from to John from red. You examine the package. It is from one of your internet chums. It's bound in packing tape, though. You'll need something sharp to open it. Ah, of course, the razor. It's all so simple. You wonder why you didn't get razor. John get razor. And he does, and the red box hits him in the head. John, pick up package again. He does, and it throws a cake across the room. Let's take this from the top. John, capture log glass shards. He picks them up as 3 individual items, which throws a cake, the book, and the handcuffs all out the window. You take 3 glass shards in quick succession and duck for cover. Your Skilladex rains devastation on your room from above. And now that your cards are packed with glass, you probably don't want to do that again anytime soon. Next. You should probably go get that stuff before you forget. John, use the razor on the red package. You open the package. There's something suspicious inside. Something suspiciously dirty and smelly. Next. It is a stuffed bunny, much like the one held hostage briefly by Makovic Cyrus the virus, while taunting hard luck protagonist Cameron Poe, and strikingly similar to the one scooped up from the soot of a burning Vegas strip by Cage's Poe and offered to his daughter, a gesture symbolic of a tattered exterior surrounding a heart of gold. Poe wasn't much to look at, but he was a good man. But no, it's not merely like that bunny. According to this note of authenticity, it is the very same bunny. This is so awesome. John, check the status of the Spurb beta. It looks like your computer is trying to get your attention. John, look at monitor. A Spurb host user is attempting to connect with you. Client has established connection with host. Press enter when ready. And also, Pink is trying to talk to him. John, check Pester Chum window. Pink began pestering John at 17:08. Pink says, it looks like you managed to retrieve the beta. Excellent. I'm going to try to connect. And John says, well, okay, but I just got the most awesome present. And Pink says, the rabbit. And John says, so sweet. And Pink says, I've heard tales of this wretched creature often. Its Homeric legend is practically ensconced in the fold of my personal mythology by now. And John says, haha, what? Pink says, why don't we focus on the matter at hand? John says, oh, the game, okay. I don't really know how this works. What am I even looking at here? Pink says, you're running the client application. I'm running the server, so I'm the host user. I have established a connection with you. This is sufficient for us to play the game. John says, oh, okay then. And Pink says, why don't we get started? John, press enter. And it launches the loading screen. Sound. Superb. Next. Mouse over the interface buttons. As select, revise, deploy, Fernalia registry, grist cache, explore, Authenium, and alchemy excursus. Okay, you can't touch them. Pink, select magic chest. She does, and she moves it. Pink, zoom out. She zooms out all the way to the house. Pink, drop chest. She drops it on the roof, where it almost slides off. John says, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And Pink says, "Sorry, I'm just getting a feel for the controls." John says, "Is my magic chest on the roof right now?" And she says, "Yes." And he says, "Sad face." And she says, "I will try to be more careful next time." John, get the card. Which was under the chest. You find you're missing stack fetch modus and quickly reapply it to your skill decks. You can now opt for either the stack or the Q modus anytime. You toggle between your fetch modi with gleeful abandon. Next. Looks out the window. It looks like your dad is leaving again for more baking supplies. You're relieved to have the house to yourself again, if only for a few minutes. You just hope he doesn't notice the magic chest on the roof. Or all the crap you threw out the window, for that matter. Pink, select stuff in yard and move it back into room. She can't reach. John says, "Hey, do you think you could do me a favor? Can you grab all that stuff outside my broken window and bring it in for me?" And Pink says, "I'll give it a shot." John says, "Thanks." Pink says, "No luck. It appears to be out of range. I'm guessing it's too far away from you, the player." John says, "Big sad face." Pink, select John. You cannot select player. John abjures the meddlesome cursor. Pink, select Bunny. And she does. She lifts it off the bed. Pink, put Bunny back in the box. Which she does. John makes a tiny happy face. Pink, revise room. She gives him a new chunk of room. Next. It chunks out of the house big and awkward. Pink, open Fernalia registry. She does. It's got some weird stuff in it. Totem lathe, alchemeter, and something. We'll figure that one out later. Pink, deploy totem lathe. She picks it up and puts it in the expanded room chunk. John, examine totem lathe. You don't know what the heck this thing does, but it looks neat. Pink, open grist cache. She does. You have 16 of 20 blue. Pink says, it seems expanding the dimension of your room costs us some build grist, which is blue. but deploying the lathe did not appear to incur any expense. It looks like certain objects are freebies, probably to help you set up the game. John says, wow, okay, what do they do? Pink says, I think that's up to you to find out. All I can do is drop stuff in your house and move it around, apparently. John says, how do I move stuff around? It sounds fun. Pink says, I don't think you can as the client. You will need to install the server application. You should have received both in separate envelopes. I'm running both on my computer right now. John says, what? Pink says, did you get another envelope in the mail? And he says, no. Pink says, once you install the server and establish a connection, I'm sure you'll be able to manipulate my environment in the same manner. Are you sure you didn't get it? John says, oh man, I think I might know where it is. Next. In the car. Pink says, now that your room is bigger, why don't you move to the far corner? It will extend the range of the cursor and I can reach the items, which you threw out the window for some reason? John says, good idea. Pink says, what have you been doing here all afternoon anyway? John says, I was fussing with my stupid Skilladex, but I think I have it under control now. What modus do you use? Pink says, I like to use trees. John says, oh no, that sounds so awkward. Pink says, it's not exceptionally practical, but I think they are elegant. John, stand in corner. He does. And she grabs the stuff and puts it in his room. And he is happy. Pink, deploy Cruxtruder. She puts it in the living room. Right in front of the door. Pink, deploy Alchemeter. She puts that on the balcony. John says, why is the floor shaking? Are you dropping more stuff on my house? And Pink says, yes, 2 more large gizmos. John says, sweet. What is it with all these big contraptions? Pink says, if I have to guess, they appear to facilitate a sort of system involving punch card-based alchemy. John says, huh, to what end? I mean, what are we supposed to be doing in this game? And Pink says, that remains to be seen. Maybe you should go investigate? John, get PDA. He does. Serious business. The following matters have been submitted in a frank and forthright manner for Pipe Fan 413's judicious appraisal. Gracelex 66 says decided to return home for fresh tie. Soiled tie will be laundered immediately upon return. Well pressed attire says used ballpoint pen to roll up tip of cloth. Extract pen. Press rolled cloth against ceramic surface, e.g. restroom sink. In future, consider repositioning hat hook and/or coffee pot. Office Urchin 1280 says photographic documentation of incident. Gracelex 66 says was posturing unevenly to reach for hat on wall hook. Tip of tie slipped in open mouth of pot. Duration of dunk approximately 3 seconds. Too busy for this, says Play a lab on incident. Gracelax 66 need counsel on removing coffee from necktie. Incident occurred 45 seconds ago. Beverage essences rapidly settling into fabric. You grab the PDA, switching back to stack modus so it is readily acceptable. The interface is oddly sterile. No hilarious clown wallpapers or anything like that. Oops, you mean Harlequin wallpapers. Hi, babe. The serious business application is open. It seems your dad uses it to keep tabs on various acquaintances. His fellow street performers, maybe? You guess the performing arts must be pretty serious business after all. John, install Pester Chum. This should be useful. Now you can keep tabs on all your chums while you wander around the home. John, go out on balcony. John says, hey, I'm out on the balcony now. I'm messaging you from my dad's PDA. And Pink says, the one you threw into the yard? John says, no, I'm telling you, it jumped out of my Skilledex like a frightened weasel. Pink says, what were you doing with it in the first place? I am not sensing a lot of regard for the personal property of others. Is this how your pent-up frustration with your father manifests itself? And John says, what? No, those were all accidents. Please take your psycho babblery elsewhere, miss. Pink says, your bathroom is a mess. Did you do that too? John says, oh man, see, this isn't cool, all this snooping nonsense. Pink says, there's a cake in the toilet. John says, yes, there is. Pink says, I'm tempted to clean it up for you. John says, okay, if that will satisfy your weird OCD complex, then go ahead. Pink says, my obsessive compulsive disorder complex? Can a disorder also be a complex? And John says, in your case, probably. Pink says, sounds complicated. John says, anyway, I'm gonna have a look at this enormous platformy thing you put on my balcony. John, examine alchemeter in a cautious manner. You have no idea what to do with this thing. You can't find any controls for it. Having exhausted all other possibilities, you decide just to stand on it. This isn't very cautious of you, actually. John looks through telescope. He does, and he stares at the sun. It is a clear, sunny day. Nothing out of the ordinary to report. At least, not beyond the walls of your own home. Pink, grab the soiled toilet. She does, and it costs 2 build grist to pick up. She says, whoops. And John says, whoops what? Next. And she puts it outside as far away as she can next to the swing set. John says, what was that noise? Is this something I should go investigate? And Pink says, no, I have this under control. You can keep playing with your telescope. John, investigate. Yeah, he does, and he sees a broken pipeline. John says, ugh! And Pink says, I think I can patch it up. Just give me a little space. Why don't you go have a look at the extruder? John says, the what? She says, the thing I put in your living room. John, hop down the hall where the toilet was. You jump down to the utility room. John, get sledgehammer and card. He does. You take the sledgehammer and the capture log card, combine the two, and quickly apply it to your striped specubus. You think it's cool that things don't always have to be a federal freaking issue. Next. It looks like another one of your chums is pestering you on your PDA. John, answer chum. It is Green. Started pestering John at 17:25. Green says, John, did you get my package? John says, oh hey, no not yet. And she says, darn, are you sure it was in a green box? ... John says, oh, yes, but it's in my dad's car and he is still out at the store. He should be back soon. She says, great! So what are you up to today? John says, I'm up to my neck in this spurb stuff. Pink is making a royal mess of my house. And Green says, lol, what's spurb? John says, oh, it is this game. It's okay, I guess. I'm still figuring it out. Green says, whoa, what was that? Question mark. John says, what was what? Green says, there was a loud noise outside my house. It sounded like an explosion. John says, wow, really? Green says, I will go outside and look, ... John says, oh man, alright, but be careful, okay? And Green says, I will, smiley face. And she ceased pestering John at 17:28. John, might as well check out the extruder. John says, oh heck no, you put this thing in front of the door? And Pink says, there's a door there? John says, yeah? She says, I didn't see it. I just thought it fit nicely into that groove. John says, you mean you thought it was elegant? Okay, well, what do I do with this thing? Hello? What are you doing up there now? Next. She rips the bathtub out of the wall, which costs 2 more build grists. There is now 12 out of 20. She says, oh frick. John, examine wheel of the extruder. When you turn the wheel, something seems to be pushing up from underneath the lid, but you aren't strong enough to make the lid come off. Pink, put bathtub in driveway. Connection lost. She drops it on top of the stairs. On the tub's journey to the driveway, the connection is interrupted. John, scold Pink. John says, you can see me, right? Tell me what is wrong with this picture. Pink says, sorry, I keep losing the wireless signal. Must be the weather. I would look for a stronger signal in another part of the house, but I'd rather not risk an encounter with my mother. I battled through her cloud of gin and derision once already this evening. John says, haha, yeah, I hear you. Pink says, yes, cake, gestures, unfaltering love and support. Quite a road to hoe there. Though I suppose I'm complicit for not informing social services about your situation. John says, I know. What about going outside? Maybe you could catch a neighbor's signal. Pink says, that presents the same problem. Also, it's raining, remember? And dark. John says, it's dark already? Pink says, yes, the sun has already had its way with us here on the East Coast. Its lurid glare has moved on to younger time zones. John says, haha, okay. John, hit extruder with sledgehammer. He tries, but it's heavy. Pink says, need some help? Pink, pick up sledgehammer. She scoops it and they hit the thing on the thing. Next. It pops out a Duma floppy. It's very shiny. Next. John says, what is this thing? And what is that clock counting down to? It starts at 4:13. 4 hours, I assume. Pink says, I've been looking at the game FAQ walkthrough to figure some of this stuff out. Hold while I read further. John says, okay. Pink says, all of these walkthroughs are extremely short. None progress much further than this point. John says, weird. Well, I mean, it is a new game. And Pink says, true. Now that the lid is off, you will need to extrude some cruxite. John, turn wheel again. Yeah, he's good at that. You extrude 1 crucite dowel. John, get crucite. Ooh. I did that.
Oh.
Pink says, it feels like we should be hurrying. The countdown is making me nervous. Can I help you? Okay. John? Oh, your PDA is trapped under the crew site now, isn't it? Anyway, it looks like you're gonna need this card too. John, deploy pre-punched card. Pink deploy. She grabs it and she puts it on the floor. John, get card. A shard of glass is expelled from the deck and maims the Harlequin doll. John, capture log fanciful Harlequins. He picks up 2 of them. You take 2 fanciful Harlequins. The additional useless freight pushes your PDA to the last card. You then switch to the Q modus so you can access the PDA. More glass shrapnel flies from the deck. The shiny thing shows many textures. John says, this thing keeps following me around. I think it's trying to talk to me or something. Pink says, that is probably the kernel sprite. It apparently needs to be prototyped. Twice, actually. Whatever the heck that means. These walkthroughs are horrendously written. John says, okay. Well, you're the one with the cursor, so just do whatever you think is the right thing to do. Also fix my bathroom. Pink dropped maimed Harlequin into kernel sprite. She picks it up and she puts it in there. And it shines very brightly. Sound. The kernel sprite has been prototyped with the Harlequin doll. Now it makes a bunch of little crest symbols. John says, I still can't understand this thing's gobbledygook. Pink says, that was only tier 1 prototyping. There's still another tier to the prototyping process, which for all we know merely advances this entity through increasingly esoteric states of linguistics. John says, the clock is ticking. We don't have time for this asinine tomfoolery. Pink says, this unmitigated poppycock? And John says, extravagant hogwash. Okay, stop. Stop typing whatever silly thing you're typing. I'm going upstairs to the big platformy thing. Pink says, the alchemeter? And John says, And Pink says, try to learn the lingo. John, use pre-punched card with the alchemeter. There's no slot for a card anywhere to be found on the alchemeter. The kernel sprite followed you upstairs. Pink, explore Athenaeum. Acquiring? Perfectly generic object costs 2 build grist. Acquiring a crucite dowel seems to have populated the Athenaeum with 1 item, a perfectly generic object, which is a green cube. John, capture log telescope. You snatch the telescope from its tripod. Who knows? It might be useful. But more importantly, it pushes the crucite to the last card, making it available for tinkering. The PDA is predictably jettisoned into the yard over the neighbor's fence. John, put crucite on weird pattern on alchemeter. You place the crucite dowel on the alchemeter's small pedestal. Something is happening. An arm comes out and uses a laser on the dowel. You set the alchemeter to cast 3 perfectly generic objects for some reason, expending a total of 6 units of build grist. These things look completely useless. What a waste. Out of the corner of your eye, you notice there's something in the sky. John, switch modus and use telescope to inspect sky. You switch back to stack modus and get a closer look with your telescope. Whatever it is, the Colonel sprite seems to be particularly agitated about it. There's a little shiny dot in the sky. Time counting down from 3 hours, and it appears to be a meteor. 3 hours, 3 minutes. You're no astronomer, but its trajectory looks suspiciously head-on with your current perspective. This is a troubling development. John, high-five Colonel Sprite. You figure you've left him hanging long enough. John, attempt to ingest a unit of Bildgrist. It is tempting because they strongly resemble rockin' blue raspberry gushers. However, units of Bildgrist are a gaming abstraction and do not seem to exist on the physical plane. There is apparently no crisis so imminent that will deter you from contemplating idiotic and frivolous actions. Dad's back. Pink says, your dad is getting home. John, what did you do with your PDA this time? I'm working on the bathroom. We're running low on Bildgrist. Pink, revise bathroom. She fills in the floor, and now they only have 2 Bildgrist left. Dad can't get in the house, and there's a toilet outside. He is confused. John, run to your room and contact Pink through Pester Chum. 2 chums have been trying to message you. John, answer chums. Pink's working on the bathroom, running low on Bildgrist. John says, oh man, who cares about the bathroom? Now there's a meteor heading for my house. Pink says, I see. Do you suppose it has anything to do with the game? John says, I don't know, maybe. What will I do? Pink says, I think it's very likely. The walkthroughs vaguely suggest an impending threat before they end. The already poorly constructed sentences become even more curt and ambiguous, as if written hastily with a sense of alarm. Actually, their dedication to updating the walkthrough under such circumstances is admirable. John says, wow, fascinating! Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Pink says, if the meteor is a game construct, I think the only thing to do is proceed and try and solve the dilemma on the game's terms. Try using the lathe. It says you can use the card on it, but it isn't more specific than that. John says, okay, I'll do that. Pink says, really, it is a labor to read this drivel. If I read any more, my brain will need to be spoon-fed from a jar, while it blows spit bubbles in a high chair. I think I will write my own walkthrough. That is, after we make sure you don't die. Red began pestering John at 1734. He says, I heard you got the box. I hope you appreciate my heroic fatherly perseverance in getting it to you. In my rough and tumble, dirty, wife-beaterly sort of way. Also, hope you appreciate how many no-talent douches had their mitts on that bunny before you. It's like a grubby baton in some huge douchebag marathon. Hey, where are you? John says, oh man, the bunny was awesome, but I don't have time to talk. I'm playing Spurb, and it's kind of a nightmare. Pink is breaking everything in my house. Red says, dude, I told you to steer clear of that game. And for that matter, you should probably wash your hands of flighty broads and their snarky horse poop altogether. John says, and now there's a meteor coming, and I'm not even joking about that. It's like a big asteroid or comet or something in the sky, heading right for my house. Red says, oh man, how big is it? John says, I don't know, big, I guess. I gotta go. We'll talk later if I am still alive and the earth isn't blown up. Red says, like the size of Texas or just Rhode Island? They're always throwing around these geographical comparisons to give us a sense of scale, like that really means anything to us. But it's like, it doesn't matter. It's always just like, wow, that's pretty freaking big. Like, Mr. President, there's a meteor coming, sir. Oh yeah, how big is it? It's the size of Texas, sir. Oh crap! Or, how big is it? It's the size of New York City, sir. Oh crap! Sir, I'm afraid the comet is the size of your mom's dingus. Oh snap! Sir, are you familiar with Jupiter? You mean like the planet? Yeah. Well, it's that big, sir. That sounds pretty big. I have a question. Is it Jupiter? Yes, sir. The Earth is literally under siege by planet freaking Jupiter. Oh crap! Anyway, later. John, use pre-punched card on totem lathe. You slip the pre-punched card into the slot on the totem lathe. Above, the tool arm deploys a configuration of chisels. Now you just need something to lathe. John, take crucite to totem lathe. Cursing your lack of foresight, you return to the balcony for the crucite dowel you left on the pedestal. You navigate the hallway, leery of your dad, who is presently puzzling over the new fixture in his hallway. The perfect cry. Pink takes the cake out of the toilet and puts it on the bouncy ride, and then puts the toilet back in the house. You retrieved the crucite dowel. Dad just shrugs and heads back downstairs, presumably to do some more baking. If only he knew you were hard at work saving his butt. John, use crucite dowel on totem lathe. You clamp the crucite in the lathe. John, activate lathe. The lathe carves one totem. You take the totem. John says, alright, I used the lathe to make this blue shapy thing. Now I guess I take it back to the alchemixer again? Hello? Pink is no longer connected. And John says, She was trying to move the bathtub and she lost connection, so now it's in front of his door. There's 2 minutes left and he can't get out. A young lady stands in her bedroom. Due to a violent storm, her house has just lost power, along with her wireless internet connection. This has severed her link to a popular video game she was playing with a young man at a critical moment. That young man is relying on this young lady to re-establish a connection somehow. This young lady named... It's on the tip of your tongue. What was the name of this young lady again? Enter name. Flighty Broad. No, that wasn't it. One more time. Rose Lalonde. Examine room. Your name is Rose. As was previously mentioned, you are without electricity, although your laptop computer still functions on battery power. You have a variety of interests. You have a passion for rather obscure literature. You enjoy creative writing and are somewhat secretive about it. You have a fondness for the bestially strange and fictitious, and sometimes dabble in psychoanalysis. You also like to knit, and your room is a bit of a mess. And on occasion, if just the right one strikes your fantasy, you like to play video games with your friends. What will you do? Rose, retrieve arms from the purple box. The purple package's contents are private. No one is allowed to look inside. Rose, rise like a flagellum and be sick on your bed. Ugh, what a terrible idea. The thought alone makes you sick to your stomach. Rose, stroke writing journal and mutter, my precious. You would only resort to such an embarrassing activity while no one was watching. These journals are for your eyes only. Rose, get violin. You captchalogue the violin, storing it in the root card of your Skillidex. Sound, Rose, play a haunting refrain on the violin. You waste approximately 40 seconds playing the violin while your friend is in peril. Nice time management skills there, sweetheart. I'm not gonna listen to the whole thing. John, tell Liv Tyler you love her before impact. Since your good-for-nothing friend is obviously not going to bail you out in time, you issue words of parting fondness to your dear sweet Liv. Oh, if only Affleck could have been the one to make the final sacrifice instead of her stubborn, blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth father. Then she would fall into your arms for consolation, and you would be the one to make the deceased Bruce Willis proud. Rose, captchalogue knitting supply bag. You get the knitting bag. It occupies the left leaf card under the violin per the tree modus's alphabetical sorting method. K is above V. Rose, look out the window. Your panoramic window offers a view of your yard below, where the mausoleum housing your dead cat, Jasper's, and the mausoleum, who died when you were young. Your mom had the structure erected with a spirit of scornful irony in response to your youthfully innocent request to hold a funeral for the animal. At least that is how you have come to interpret the gesture in retrospect. You can also make out a silhouette of the laboratory next door, a facility which likely broadcasts strong wireless internet signal. You may be able to connect to the signal from a different part of the house, perhaps if you seek higher ground. Rose, get laptop. You take your laptop and prepare to make the journey through the house. L is above V and L is above K. This causes the tree to be unbalanced, so your Skillidex auto-balances itself. Now the laptop occupies the root card, while the other two items comprise the leaves, because K is above L and V is below L. Rose, examine book on desk. Grimoire for summoning the zoologically dubious. This book is absolutely indispensable for enthusiasts of your ilk, of which there are few. Rose, take book. You take the grimoire. G is higher than L and G is higher than K. Rose, go explore the house. You leave your bedroom. Hanging just next to your door in the hallway is a painting of an exquisite wizard. Your mother collects these awful things ironically. She must know how much you detest them, and there is no doubt in your mind she stores these dreadful things in the house to bother you. Down the hall, to the right, is the way to the observatory. Perhaps you'll be able to connect from there? Your mother's room is also in that direction. You'll have to watch your step. Rose, tiptoe to observatory. You approach a juncture in the hallway. Beyond the juncture is the observatory. Rose, sneak by. This door leads up to the observatory. You haven't ventured up there in quite some time. Rose, go through door. The door opens to an exterior walkway leading to the observatory entrance. You've seen less inclement weather before. Oh, the things you'll do to help out a friend. Rose, hurry up to that observatory. Rose, try to connect. You first put your laptop down on the floor to get it situated, but removing it from the root card causes all the branches and leaves to be severed. Your items are dumped unceremoniously on the floor. Rose, see what you can observe. You're in a hurry, sure, but that doesn't mean you can't take a moment to peek through the huge telescope. You find a gap in the clouds. It seems a flurry of smaller meteoroids is striking steadily overhead. You're not sure what this means, but it is somewhat disconcerting. Rose, stack laptop on grimoire to maximize elevation. She does. You'll need every advantage you can get. Rose, access laboratory Wi-Fi network. There are several signals being broadcast from the laboratory, each of relatively decent strength. One of them is mysteriously and quite conveniently unsecured, requiring no password. You select this signal and reconnect to the game with John. John has 40 seconds left. Pink says, I'm back. John says, hurry up and open my door. Not that it even matters. I think I'm probably dead no matter what. Pink says, patience. You still haven't used the new totem? And John says, question mark, question mark, question mark. Pink says, I believe it will create an item on the punch card. The item on the punch card. John says, so what is it, like an apple or something? What good will that even do? Pink says, we'll see. I've found no evidence that anyone has successfully created the item, and the content of the card appears to be variable from session to session. In one session, it was described as an eggy-looking thing. Sick. John says, do we have enough of those building jewels to make it? Pink says, according to the Athenaeum, it is a free item. This speaks to its importance, in my view. Now off you go. Rose, remove door from hinges. Oops, I called her Pink instead of Rose. There goes the rest of your build grist. Rose, put bathtub back. You probably should have just done this in the first place. John, take totem to alchemeter. Got to get those stupid blocks out of the way first. The Colonel Sprite is getting awfully worked up about all this. Rose, remove blocks. You store the perfectly generic objects in your Farenalia registry, potentially to be deployed at a later time. And the totem makes a big tree, which makes a blue apple. Sound. John, take bite of apple. End of Act 1. and we'll pick up there next time.